So how to map an object? You will have to understand the principle of UV mapping for this, which is the coordinate system used to apply an image on the surface of the object. It's completely independent of the coordinate system that is used for the object, the local system. So let's create a plane first to make it simple, like that. I'll scale it up a bit so you'll see better. I'm going to work in cycle and apply a simple material on it. So I go to material, new, and instead of applying a simple color, I'm going to apply an image on it. So I'm going to click on this little circle here. It gives me a menu where I can change the procedural texture or change an image texture here that I would apply. And I'm going to do that. So right now, if I press Alt Z to display texture, you can see here the symbol of textured object. It doesn't change anything. There are several reasons for that. Is A, I don't have any image applied on the object, and B, the object is not unwrapped. That means there is no coordinate applied for the texture on this object. So what I'm going to do is to generate an image, which is a grid, just to make sure that my object is properly unwrapped. So for that I'm going to open another window. So I'll use the timeline because I'm not using the timeline for anything else now. I'll change it to UV image editor here. So you see here you have a grid already there, which is the U and V. This is to replace the command X and Y that we use for the object. So it's called here U and V, and it will show how the texture is applied on the object. So I'm going to generate a color grid. So I go in image, new image. I'll change the name to color grid. For now I don't need any alpha, which is a transparency channel for the grid. And I will generate not a blank image but a color grid, like that. And when I'm ready I press OK. And if I zoom out, you see I have these patches of squares with different color and letters for rows and numbers for columns. So that way I can easily identify what part of the image is where on the object. So once that is done, I just have to apply this image on the texture, on the material. So for that I click on this image symbol, and that will show me the list of images loaded in Blender. For now I have only one, but I could have more than that, and I'll choose this color grid that is colored. Okay, so now we see that there is a small difference, but this is not what is expected because the object is not unwrapped. So you can consider that everything here, all the surface, is only one point of the image, which is not what I want, obviously. So for that I'm going to open Tools with T and go in edit mode, so with tab, and choose the shading tab on the left in the tool panel. Go down till I see the UV section. I click on Unwrap and select the first option, Unwrap. Okay, so now you see that the image is properly mapped on the object, and you also see that each vertex that is selected in my 3D view is represented on top of this image. So if I move one UV here with JX, for example, you see immediately the effect on the object, right? Because now the distance used between this vertex and this one, or this one and this one, is just showing 2 squares instead of 8, which you can see here, 2 squares. And the base between here and here is showing 8 squares. Here, 8. That's why the texture is distorted that way. So I'm going to undo that. And the same way, if I modify the shape of the object, for example, like that, I will also affect the way the texture is mapped on the object. I select all to see all the UV. So now you see that the UV is not changed. So now in the distance between these two vertices, Blender will squeeze 8 squares, and this is what is doing here. And it will try to adjust the shape of the physical object to the square of my image. So you see these two columns here are now following the edges.